when you think about how Israel and everything is just like dragging us to the bottom right now. The person that I was trying to point out to you earlier, Jen, and I sent it over to Colin. So first you had Politico put this article out. Controversial Middle East documentary wins Academy Award. You know how much it must have killed them to have to write that? And
I'm curious, why is it controversial? What's controversial about it?
That Israel is committing genocide, and that's what's covered in this movie.
Oh, but again, it's like you say something's controversial. Well, if you don't show controversial evidence, like, that makes it so that what they're saying, like, why is it controversial? It just sounds like facts.
Because the veil is being removed. And there were lots of Zionazi tweets last night. People complaining nonstop about how, this is terrible. How could you do such a thing? Oh, when they lie through their teeth. Well, like you say, how do you know a politician's lying, their lips are moving? Well, you certainly could say the same about anybody who supports the state of Israel and is promoting a genocide.
However, isn't one of the two creators of this film? I mean, it's a Palestinian and an Israeli, yes?
That is correct.
Okay.
Colin, can you please put up the other tweet that I sent you, please? So John Podhoretz, I think that's how you say his name. Now, there are a lot of shitty Zionazis out there, but I would have to say that of all the people, because this particular guy went on an absolute tweet storm, wouldn't stop, wouldn't let up. F you, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel Hollywood filth.
Okay, but who was he putting this out to?
The fact that they allowed a Palestinian film to win an Oscar.
No, but who is this guy that anybody's following him? Like, why do we care what this guy is saying?
Oh, I would say, well, he's got a very large account, and he's an editor at some particular publication called commentary.org. But it is really, it's a pro-war Zionist rag is basically what it is. And so, like many people within this particular movement, they are able to get away with murder. In this case, mass murder, many, many times over. And so, as a result, this just continues. And as we pointed out in our viral tweet, which is that the state of Israel is reflective in how they reacted to this Academy Award win. They're all a bunch of chicken shits. The second you push them in a direction that isn't what they want it to be, it's no different than the video that we showed shortly after October 7th that showed what type of Jews are the pro-Palestinian religious Jews?
Well, there's several sects. They're Hasidic sects usually. The Hasidic, the very, Orthodox sect.
So we all remember that clip of the Hasidic Jews standing with the pro-Palestinians along with that funny Jewish comedian, Jacob Berger.
Jacob Berger, yeah.
And that's where you saw the video clip of the blonde, blue-eyed, pale-skinned Zionist.
Right, freaking out.
Crying. And then when she was told that she was a moron, she didn't say, F you or that. What did she do? She went up and she put her hands on people because they think that they're untouchable.
They're the most entitled people on the planet. They're so entitled. Because they've been given a pass and a pass and a pass. Their entire existence is false sense of entitlement. It's entire fake ethnicity.
But maybe the best part of the night was the fact that there were courageous people there. Unlike Gal Gadot or any of the others, there was Guy Pearce who wore a Free Palestine pin on his suit proudly. And he's been very vocal about this. And Guy Pearce is an Aussie. And I don't know what the position of the Australians are generally about this issue, but kudos to him because he's still a working actor. And he's obviously taking a pretty big risk. Now, does Guy Pearce have money? Yeah, he's got some money. I wouldn't call him rich, though. He's not in Susan Sarandon.
No, he's like he's a working actor person. But there's other people that are in that support Palestinians, some more quietly than others. But yeah. But I would suggest that nobody sees any of Gal Gadot's, is it Gadot, whatever. I wouldn't see another one of her movies. Like there's no amount of money that you could pay me. First of all, she's not.
She sucks at acting.
Right. I was going to say, it's not like a big sacrifice to not go see her movies. It's not like she's good. Like it was much harder for me to like give up watching and enjoying The Patriot and Braveheart based on just being disgusted by Mel Gibson. I don't know enough about her. Wonder Woman was not all that. And honestly, the best part of Wonder Woman was Robin Wright. So there's that. Yeah. So I think nobody should go see her drivel shit.
David Hunter, the only thing that was great about Gal Gadot playing Wonder Woman is that she actually she's attractive, but that's it.
There's a lot of attractive women though. That's the thing.
A lot of them that are not
a commodity.
And a lot of them that didn't serve in the IDF and are not mass murdering psychopaths. Gal Gadot is. She may put on a pretty face, but make no mistake, she is a bloodthirsty psychopath.
Well, they all at this point, they all are. At this point, that is their inherent nature. They're all just inherent. Like they honestly need to be lanced like a boil because they're unfixable. They're unfixable.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say that they are pretty much unfixable. That is where they stand. And you know what? The pride is greatest just before the fall. And much like a dying star, I generally see this as they've just gotten too big for their britches. And rather than have a little self-reflection, kind of like the American empire dying, they're not going to. They're going to double and triple down. The fact that you have Zion-Nazis calling Hollywood anti-Semitic.
Right. It's just.
Where else are you going to go?
I just think it's so funny because people are just so fucking ignorant. Anti-Semitic is completely a European created thing. It didn't exist. Nobody in the Arab world was anti-Semitic because they were all just Arabs. Some of them were Jews, some of them were Muslims, some of them were Christian, but you know what they all were? Fucking Semites. That's the whole point. So if somebody's anti-Semitic, that would mean they're also anti-Palestinian because those people are all Semites, you fucking morons. Like it's so stupid. It's a made up term by Ashkenazi Jews that never existed in the Arab world. They didn't have a word for that because there were no anti-Semites because they're all fucking Semites.
Come on.
So that's what's so like ridiculous is this is completely a white concept. The people in the Arabic world, there's no anti-Semites. They're all Semites. They have no problem with Jews, by the way.
Let's end on a humorous note.
Best of luck. What caused the global financial crisis?
Well, it's essentially a credit crisis.
Yes, but how did it happen?
Well, banks and lending institutions lent money to people far in advance of the actual asset value of the things they were lending it on.
Correct. And where was that money coming from?
It was coming from banks and lending institutions.
No, that's incorrect. The money actually didn't exist.
So where did the people pay the money back to?
Well, they didn't. They couldn't. They'd been lent more money than they could afford to repay.
So what did the homeowners do?
No, hang on, Ivor, I'm asking the questions if you don't mind. Here we go.
Beg your pardon?
What did the owners of the loans do when their money couldn't be repaid?
They went broke.
Correct. And what did the homeowners do when they couldn't pay their loans back?
They went broke too.
Correct. And what did the banks do?
They paid themselves bonuses, very substantial.
Who's this guy?
Mr. John Clark.
No, which one is Mr. John Clark? I think the guy doing the interview is Mr.
Yes.
John Clark. Well, who's this guy?
Economic Archive, I believe.
But so like this is supposed to be an economics expert?
Oh, it's. I think it's satire. But you know what? These days, who the hell knows?
Potential bonuses.
Correct. But what did they do when their depositors were going broke?
Yes, they got given $1 trillion by the government.
Correct. Why?
Because they're so important and such brilliant people, and you can't have an economy without the key decisions being made in the middle of it by bankers.
Correct. And where did that money come from?
That money came from me.
Correct. And what's that called,
It's
Ivor?
a bloody disgrace.
No.
That is called a bloody disgrace.
No, Ivor, it's called free trade.
But it isn't free trade. It's not free trade. If it were free trade, then there was a credit crisis, then asset values would drop, and I'd be able to buy the entire banking sector for crappence.
Shut up, Ivor.
Yeah, sorry, silly me.
And the answer is there's 600, Wanker Tanker, there are 613 rules that Jews follow. The number is
Thanks for paying-
613.
Thanks for paying attention, Jen.
Sorry. Well, he asked.
Yeah, but you get distracted. You're like a freaking what
This
like
coming from you, Dory? All right, go
Yeah.
ahead. Tell
Yeah,
me. Bring
whatever.
me back into whatever this is.
We'll do it one more time.
The questions, if you don't mind. Here we go.
Beg your pardon?
What did the owners of the loans do when their money couldn't be repaid?
They went broke.
Correct. And what did the homeowners do when they couldn't pay their loans back?
They went broke too.
Correct. And what did the banks do?
They paid themselves bonuses, very substantial bonuses.
Correct. But what did they do when their depositors were going broke?
Ah, yes, they got given $1 trillion by the government.
Correct. Why?
Because they're so important and such brilliant people, and you can't have an economy without the key decisions being made in the middle of it by bankers.
Correct. And where did that money come from?
That money came from me.
Correct. And what's that called,
It's
Ivor?
a bloody disgrace. In my view. That is called a bloody disgrace.
Ivor, it's called free trade.
But it isn't free trade. It's not free trade. If it were free trade, then there was a credit crisis, then asset values would drop, and I'd be able to buy the entire banking sector for crappence.
Shut up, Ivor.
Yeah, sorry, silly me.
So it was a comedy bit. It's a farce.
It sure seems that way.
Yeah, that can't be real. That's totally funny.
But then again, our entire banking system is a farce. So it might as well be satirized. That's really what it comes down to.